Yeah, what are we? Good evening and welcome to the Finance Committee meeting for October 17th of 2017. Introductions and administrative remarks. Welcome, Penny.
Oh, you're not Mike. There you go, thanks.
The only thing going on right now is the budget books are out at the buildings and they're making their way back to the directors of curriculum, and then they should be back to the business office by the end of October.
All right, good. Thank you, Penny. Public comment. And I'm going to please ask you to hold it to 4 minutes.
Good evening, Judy Sherry, Governor's Circle,
Hi,
Newtown
Judy.
Square. Hello. Some of these are carryovers of questions I asked before. Will the board, this is sort of an extension. Will the board and the public be receiving monthly financial summary pages, which was sort of an analysis of what happened that month in the finances and an explanation of the numbers? They were very helpful in the past.
Judy, our business manager is out on an extended illness, and some of this, I believe, is...
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She had an accident here.
Oh,
and
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Until she's back, that department is a little bit over extended, and so things have dropped because they just have to get essential work done. So as soon as she's back, things should be back to normal.
Thanks for the response about that. It's understandable. Yeah, and so I'd ask for a revenue report on the Ethan Annex, the private homes, and the other portable classrooms. That's another outstanding question. Ms. Bonenberger commented at, I think, the policy committee that there were, quote, alarming signs of financial issues, I hope I've quoted her accurately, regarding booster clubs. But in addition to Ms. Bonenberger's concerns, my questions are, what are the fee requirements for student participants in booster clubs? Does the administration review these fees? And what percentage of students pay the booster fees? And then I just have two quick questions. I might save my couple minutes for the next meeting. No. Agenda item number 1. When fees for admissions, these are fees for different admissions of different things, when they're proposed, it's always helpful to see what was charged in previous years. I went back and looked. There's not really much of a change, but I think it would also be helpful to kind of have an understanding of the rationale of why we charge different amounts for different events. And my last question is, how much money did the district make on disposals last year? When we got rid of things, and some of the things sound really kind of interesting, did we actually capture any money for the schools? Thank you.
Thanks,
Judy.
Judy.
I know we donate them.
Yeah, I have no idea. Thank you. Hi, Cindy.
Good evening, Cindy Spurtle-Wayne. I too was curious about how the fees for the events compare with last year, but I also wanted to thank, once again, I see that veterans, active members of the military, and senior citizens can go to all these events for free, and that was something that was changed a couple years ago. And it's nice to see that that continues. And also, on the agenda items for approval at the October business meeting, similar to the question I asked in curriculum, there are contracts that will move forward, and my question is, in order for the committee to move it forward or agree to move it forward, have you been given information? Is there information available, or has the committee been given information as to the contracts or to the or the size of the gift donation that was made that's not listed here? If not, how can you make a decision to forward it to the board? And on the disposals, my question is, if they are being disposed of, are they literally being disposed of, or as has been requested in the past by several members of the public, being sent to schools or libraries of less needy districts in our state? Thank you.
Thanks. All right, approval of minutes. Okay,
They were fine.
okay, very good. Agenda item number 1 is fees for attendance at district events. Penny?
I do have the list of fees, that's.
You have to turn your microphone.
I'm very happy over there.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Susan. I did actually write down the comparisons to where they were and what they are now, if anybody's interested in that. The musical was $10 to $15. Next year it will be for $15. The fall play is now $15 for adults, $10 for students. Last year it was $8 to $10 for adults, $3 to $5 for students. Whose line is it anyway? $10 for adults, it was $8 to $10 last year. $5 for students last year was $3 to $5. No change on Lower Merion dance or pep rally or the athletics, and no change on the musical for the middle school.
Okay.
I did find out that the musical was, the Radnor High School musical was actually $15 last year. I think what was approved was 10 to 15, but it was, I think the last 2 years it was $15.
15.
I have asked the high school to investigate, would it be possible to have a student rate? Part of the issue with one pricing for the musical is because they contract with a company and all the purchases are done online. So I've asked them to investigate what would be, the potential of trying to do 2 different rates with the online purchasing. And they're going to look into that. But also, those rates are set the last few years at $15 based on, the expenses of a musical and all that goes into putting the musical. So there was some hesitation, too, about lowering that. But they're going to at least investigate that. But we're going to move forward with what we've had for the last couple of years at $15. But they will look into that as well.
Yeah, well, and I can also remark that there's also a service charge on top of that. If you
Correct.
do the online purchase, it's not 15. It ends up being more like, I don't remember, 18 or something.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a good service because of the number of tickets that are sold and,
No,
and
no
the volume.
objection, but
yes,
just
yeah.
full disclosure, there's a surcharge
Yes.
for using it. Yeah. Okay. Is this an action item? I guess,
So this will be an action item for next week, correct?
okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Number 2, the budget update.
Budget update, as I said, the books were out to the buildings at the beginning of September, right after school opened. The buildings are finishing them up and getting them back to the directors, and once they are reviewed there, they head over to the business office for Michelle to review when she returns.
Okay, good. Very good, thank you. Lunch tray pilot? That just sounds like a very interesting topic title.
Guy who rides down the lunch trays on the hill.
That's what I was thinking. That was the thing that came through my mind, yeah.
That would be much more fun.
They won't be flying around the cafeteria.
The lunch tray pilot is to try out a biodegradable lunch tray. The cost of the regular trays are 3 cents each. These are 6 cents each, but they thought it should move forward because it is better for the environment.
Wait, what, the current trays are,
3 cents each.
and we
But
toss
there's-
them, or they're washed and reused?
Styrofoam.
Oh.
So they're tossed, and then these are biodegradable.
Did we investigate buying ones that could be washed, or do we not have the facility to reuse those?
I could find that out for you.
It was just a question. Do we have a composter? If we're going to use biodegradable stuff, do we have a composter at the high school?
That I don't know, but I
Okay.
don't know I know that Russell used to upkeep that garden. I don't know if it's something that could be there.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'm all for getting rid of the styrofoam. And I know that from an environmental standpoint, washing trays and using hot water and sterilizers, particularly if we don't even have the sterilizer equipment, Dan or PT might know if we do or don't, but,
It may not be much of a savings, if any.
Having gone through this. in
Exactly,
other-
that's my
Right,
point.
having
That's
gone-
my point.
I don't know what our history has, but having gone through this in another district, exactly that. There are a lot of costs when you have the trays that you're washing yourselves, and there's the environmental impact of that as well. I think that the push here is that Theirs is a tray that will be, better for the environment. It's a little bit more expensive, not much more expensive, but a little bit more of an expense as a district, and something we wanted to try. The Food Services Department has come forward with this, and actually in discussion with some students and some families as well who are looking at our environment and making sure that we as a district are, making good decisions for the environment. So it was a kind of
No, it's a
nice
great idea. I'm
team.
just wondering, what are you going to do with the trays? Because the biodegradability is only worthwhile if we're composting or biodegrading them. If they're going into the same trash bin and trash hauler as the styrofoam ones, then they're not really going to break down in the way that we would want them to in the short term. I mean, I don't know if they're going in plastic bags that don't break down. So I'm just kind of wondering what would be happening with them.
Sure, we can look into that. I do remember some discussion, again, I wasn't part of this, I do remember some discussion about what is done with the trays and how that is handled was part of it, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah,
We can
I
look
mean,
into that. Yeah.
Sitting in a plastic bag, they're not going to biodegrade that well. But I'm in support generally of doing these kinds of
And
things.
it's a
Thank you.
pilot, so open for suggestions.
Great, thank you.
All right, good. Number 4, cooking with gas here, Radnor High School musical positions. I need to, because it's been a long day already.
Members. So what we are proposing is that the Radnor School District would assume some of the positions that historically our booster club, in working with our musical, has in the past, provided some of the positions. So when we look at choreographer, sound design, we look at rehearsal accompanist, costume designer, set designer. In the past, our booster club have, paid for those positions. So we are recommending for next week on the personnel part of the agenda that the district will actually pay these supplementals, these rates. These are the rates that some of them are similar to what they were last year. There's 2 additional positions we've added. We've added a technical director and an executive producer. Those are 2 additional positions for the musical that we felt that would only enhance our program and support the program as it continues to be a large endeavor each year. We are working with the boosters to use some booster funds, though, still to pay, to offset these costs. We as a district have not budgeted for these costs. The boosters do have dollars to support these positions, but we wanted these positions to make sure that they're running through the district. So we'll be working with the booster leadership and the musical and the high school administration on setting up how we would exactly set that up so that the boosters would still help support and offset these costs.
Something like donation into a discrete account.
Yes,
That is.
dedicated to the musical.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Are these positions, do we have applicants for these positions, or will we have applicants for these positions?
We actually have applicants already. I mean, since many of these positions, besides the 2 new ones, were already positions that we had in place that was just funded by the boosters. So there are personnel that had already been even selected for this year. So we would be looking, we're going to waive the posting of these positions for this year. We've spoken to our association as well about that, since we have personnel already in place. The 2 additional positions, the high school administration and the musical director, have contacted and worked with 2 different people. One of them we're pleased is a teacher within our district who will be joining. We were just looking at the theater audit in the last meeting, and it's one of our theater teacher who will be working with the musical, and that's that additional position in the technical director.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. So Ken, is it your intention that these are going to become permanent supplemental positions, or are you just kind of, for this year, we're seeing how things go if this new structure is works better for the high school?
No, that's a good question. We're going to review that this year.
Okay.
And we may come back and say that this would remain permanent, that these positions should be paid, through the district. That relationship with the boosters, though, and how, we support those positions, whether the boosters still, and we've had other situations in the past, as I'm understanding how some of our other programs have run. We have had past, program areas where boosters or PTO group would help offset the cost for some position. by making, excuse me, a donation to the district. So we're going to look at that this year and then make a recommendation for the following years moving forward that'll stay consistent.
Okay, the reason well, it's twofold reason I ask. I did want to know that, but as a follow-up to the theater audit that I just listened to, it would be great if part of these positions is wherever possible, we can involve students, in opportunities to do some work on the set design, makeup, whatever. These really are things that at other high schools, the kids do this stuff, and they do it willingly and with joy, because not everybody's joy in the stage comes from being on the stage. So to the extent that, these grown-ups, that these adult supplemental positions can have, and I was thinking about the job descriptions, but if we're not keeping it, I don't think it's worth, if you're deciding whether or not to keep it, I wouldn't say to go to the effort of writing up a whole bunch of supplemental descriptions, but rather to just, I see that the high school administration's here. It'd be great that if kids can be involved as much as possible. To me, that would be really the ideal situation for these. And then the only other thing I want to say is something was floated about this last month, and I'm not bothered by this. We don't necessarily have an activity go on in this district with the intention of it making money. We provide all sorts of educational opportunities for our kids, be it sports, athletics, music, what have you. Theater is another art opportunity for our kids. And if the musical costs us a certain amount of money every year and it provides 200 kids with this amazing experience and joy to our community, and it doesn't make us money, personally, I'm okay with that. Just like I don't expect any other program, sport, music, or otherwise, to necessarily make the district money to be a worthwhile experience for our kids.
And as to your first comments, that's actually a discussion we did have. I know the high school administration and I was part of a conversation as well. Back to my experiences being in a high school musical, there was a lot of students who were directors, students who were doing a lot of the leadership. We do have a lot of students that are involved in different capacities, but we discussed that and talked about how we can continue to encourage that as we move forward and what roles the students can play.
Okay, thanks.
Good point. I liked it. All right, very good.
I support that. I mean,
Yeah, no, I
it's
think
an action item, right? We're going forward on the supplemental.
Would be an action item that would be
action item because it's supplementals, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, and then board agenda items, approval of gifts, grants, and donations. All right, where are these things?
I don't think we have.
Do we have them?
Just mention of them.
Can you mention
Yeah.
them?
Yes.
Thank you.
There's 4 contracts. One is Constellation New Energy, Inc. We work with the IU, with Provident Energy as part of a consortium to get a good rate this is for our electricity. And this contract will run from the 1920 and 2021 fiscal year.
What'd you get for a price? I'm just curious. We don't get our attachments anymore. With board docs, is that going to be the case?
So that's interesting. I was going to ask that question. I'm not sure what's.
We used to all. No, but we used to get more supplemental information, not the actual contract, but a lot of times we would get some supplemental information.
And what I'll do is let me look into it,
Yeah.
because I was wondering, because even from the spring to now, I was wondering the same thing with some of the, like even with the activities and clubs, like how we handled them in the spring, how we're handling them now with board docs. So we can look at it and review it and see. Yeah.
4.5.
Oh, we can click on, yeah, you can click on it on the screen, actually, Tony, that would be great. And we can just look at it's because the document is embedded on the website on board docs now, but I can't click my paper and do that,
But it's,
so. There,
Susan,
thank you.
It's here. They printed it out.
Yeah, I think that's just,
part was sent to you. You do have
I think that's just this.
Yeah, you know what, I didn't know. I didn't
It's the
see it
mask.
either.
You just turned it. It's,
You just turned it,
just-
yeah.
Oh,
I do have this.
thank you.
And I think this is probably normal.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's it. I thought it was
Yeah.
the purple page of the
That's all right.
events.
Okay.
Okay, so what was it? I'm just curious what the electric rate is.
0.3260 energy price non-TOU kilowatts.
0. Point what?
3260.
Wow,
So
that's a great price.
That is cheap.
it's for,
I shop it for my job, so that's great, good.
they're a really nice team that we work with. The next contract is Davis Thomas Trailways, and this is a contract for the buses for Camp Canadensis. Source for teachers, there's 2 addendums. One is to change the way we pay for the sub-paras from hourly to half-day or full-day, and this will save the district some money. And also the other addendum is for substitute certified homebound teachers. Power School is the last contract, and this is for IEP software.
And the source for teachers, some of the push and lawn signs is coming from us as a district in the spring. We're just looking to make sure every district across the Commonwealth has been struggling with substitutes and having substitute positions. And I commend the board for what they did last year to arrange to have some set subs at each of the buildings. That really has seemed to help. But some of the lawn signs and all of that, it was actually initiative through the district to try to address a little bit more of, get some more, people who are living in our community possibly, who might be willing to sub, who didn't realize that, in order to sub in the district, we work with Source for Teachers. So that wasn't just coming from Source for Teachers, it was coming from us as a district as well.
Okay. All right, good. And that's, we've talked about that at length here, so that's good. Okay, PTO donation.
We have a donation for STEM, $350 from Radnor Elementary PTO as part of a teacher grant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you to the Radnor Elementary PTO.
And then the last is approval of disposals. ITHN has outdated teacher material and unused tables and filing cabinets. Radnor Elementary, old dictionary stands, teaching plan sets, stuffed animals.
Stuffed animals?
I don't want them.
You gotta dispose of those, you can't donate them.
Well, wait a second. We have stuffed animals in the library? Oh, never mind.
Maybe
Go
for-
ahead.
Maybe for the children.
It's like cuddle, you know?
Radnor Elementary School Health Suite, they have scales, vision screeners, AEDs, and Wayne 39 Social Studies Alive textbooks.
Okay.
And to answer Judy Sherry's question earlier, most of the things are donated. We get very little money back for anything that we dispose of. If anything, it's usually scrap metal. And maybe about $1,000 a year, if that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, that's helpful to know. Thanks.
Is there a new business?
Let's see. Yeah, that's it, new business.
I do have a quick thing for new business, Susan. It has been brought to the policy committee a couple of times that there are certain members of the public who would really like the district to take a look at the policy surrounding how field trips are going to get funded. And, I have made mention to them that I've brought it to the attention of the finance committee, so I know it's been on the agenda, and I know it's backburnered right now. We have lots of other pressing issues right now. So I just want to say, it has been brought to the finance committee with our business manager out right now. We're just asking our finance department to do what they can do. And we know that the public would love us to get to doing that, but we got a budget to manage right now.
And,
Right.
and we assigned, and again, Michelle is leading this, but Penny has been in while Michelle has been out, but Michelle's also been very busy while she's been out, still supporting the district. She may even be watching now. Michelle, you shouldn't be watching.
She has insomnia.
Yeah, she has insomnia. She has trouble sleeping. We did assign to our Citizens Advisory Committee 5 different topics, I believe it was, 5 different topics for them to look at and to identify whether out of those 5 topics, is there one that the district, kind of prioritize. All 5 would be things that we do want to eventually spend some time looking at, but we can't do everything all at once. So we asked our Citizens Advisory to help us by looking and kind of ranking and letting us know which one should we spend some time as administrative team first looking into.
Great.
One of those topics is field trips. So the funding of field trips was one of those pieces. Another one of those topics, which has been an ongoing question, was our real estate holdings. We asked Citizens Advisory to review some of our real estate holdings as well. Another topic was our free and reduced lunch, to look at the National Free and Reduced Lunch. Thank you. Penny has the whole list for me. It's district capital planning, district contracted services, real estate holdings and facilities usage, National School Lunch Program, and field trip funding. So those are all things that
CAC is looking at.
CAC is starting to look at again to spend some time put some outside eyes on those things, and then give the administration a recommendation of, okay, here's one that I think probably we would rank higher that you want to look at more closely. All the topics, I think, are things we're going to want to be looking at in the future, but to help us prioritize that, and also to give a fresh set of eyes on some of those items as well.
Great.
Good, thank you. All right, imagine we're already to public comment. That's awesome. Is there additional public comment?
Well, seeing none.
Seeing none, yeah.
You can't see me.
All right, Cindy.
It's nice to hear that CAC is been
Check
handed
your
some
mic.
projects.
Your mic.
It's nice to, Cindy Spurtle, Wayne. Nice to hear that CAC, many members of the public fought for that for a long time, suggesting a citizens advisory committee, and I think that's exactly right to handle with those smaller projects, and the turnaround time may be shorter. Just a quick comment on lunch tray pilot. I believe Ms. Stern had some very good questions on disposal and the bags that they're putting in, are they disposable, that type of thing. But it's not slightly more. The cost of the tray is double. Just a quick comment. I worked for a large company called Aramark many, many years ago, and we would travel around the country to save a penny off of a meal. So when you're doubling an expense like that, of which you're going to be using thousands, then the total amount of the dollars does become important. So I wanted to just bring that up. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if we are done, I think we're done. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.